She said it like she was ordering dessert. I don't even know why I married him. I was 5 feet away, tonguing barbecue sauce off my molar, when the words slipped past her lips and burned a hole through my chest. She wasn't drunk. She wasn't joking. She was holding a plastic cup of sangria, laughing with her sister, her mother, and a few of her old high school friends I barely recognized anymore. I caught her eyes for half a second. She didn't flinch, didn't blink, just turned back to her circle like I didn't exist. Like I was just another lawn chair at this family barbecue. I'd spent the whole morning assembling those folding tables, hauling bags of ice, grilling ribs the way her dad liked them, extra smoky, barely any sauce. I trimmed the hedges last night because she said her mother might make a comment. I printed place cards for the tables. Her uncle brought a girl named Kendra, and I still asked how to spell it right. But apparently none of that counted. Because there it was, her voice, in the middle of the backyard I helped build, slicing through me like glass. I don't even know why I married him. They laughed. That was the worst part. Her sister actually tilted her head back, that ugly hyena cackle of hers. And her mother, not shocked, not offended, just nodded, like, finally she said it. Nobody looked at me. Nobody cared I was standing right there, tongs still in hand, like some pitiful extra in the story of my own life. And I swear, in that moment, the charcoal smoke turned sour. The sun felt like it dimmed. Something inside me, the part that still believed we were trying, just cracked. But I didn't say a word. I finished flipping the burgers. I smiled when her dad asked for another plate. I nodded when her cousin tried to talk to me about fantasy football, even though I stopped watching after week 4. I played the role. Because that's what I'd become, I think. A role. A placeholder. The husband-shaped shadow in her curated life. We'd been married 6 years. Not perfect, not horrible. Just worn. She used to touch my hand under the table. She used to wake me up on Saturdays with coffee and jokes about how I snored like a cartoon bear. Now she just sends me links to fix the sink. I tried. God knows I tried. But something shifted in her the last year or so. I thought it was work. I thought it was hormones. I thought maybe it was me. So I asked, more than once, "Are we okay?" And she always said, "Yeah, just tired." That was her go-to. Tired. And I was tired, too. Tired of the guessing. Tired of walking on the eggshells that never cracked, just bruised my feet. But I stayed. I stayed because marriage isn't supposed to be easy. I stayed because when I said for better or worse, I meant it. I stayed because I believed she was still in there, somewhere, beneath the sarcasm and the sighs. But now she was laughing with her family, in broad daylight, about the man who built her deck, replaced her radiator, and rubbed her back through 3 nights of food poisoning last winter. Like I was a punchline, a mistake, an afterthought. I don't even know why I married him. The sentence kept circling in my head like a vulture. I don't even know why I married him. It was her tone. Casual. Effortless. Not cruel. Not angry. Just done. Like she'd finally said what they'd all been thinking. I kept walking, one foot after the other, until I reached the cooler behind the garage. I crouched next to the blue igloo, pretending to search for a drink I didn't want. My hands shook. My mouth felt dry. And here's the truth I didn't expect. I didn't feel anger. Not then. I felt relief. Because I finally knew. After months of trying to guess, trying to fix, trying to read her mind, I finally knew. She didn't want me. And maybe she hadn't for a while. I pulled my phone from my pocket. No notifications. I opened my email and stared at a draft I'd written 2 weeks ago. It was short. 4 sentences. A transfer of the deed. I never sent it. I'd saved it for a moment when I was sure. And now? Now I was sure. So I hit send. Just like that. No theatrics. No notes. I walked back to the patio. The laughter had died down. Someone was asking if the lemonade had vodka in it. Someone else was looking for ketchup. She was standing near the cornhole set, facing away from me, sun catching the edge of her ponytail. I slid the envelope onto the table. Yellow legal-sized, addressed in her name. Not hidden. Not explained. Just there. The deed to the house. My name removed. All hers. Gifted. No strings. No fight. I poured myself a soda. Sipped once. Watched a wasp hover over the fruit tray. Nobody noticed the envelope. Nobody looked my way. So I walked out the gate. I didn't say goodbye. Didn't slam the door. I just left. Her backyard full of laughter. My chest full of silence. And still, nobody followed. I drove for nearly an hour without music. No destination. No map. just the road unspooling beneath me and the quiet hum of tires on asphalt. Every few miles, I'd reach for my phone, half expecting a text, a missed call, anything. But there was nothing. I didn't know what I expected. Maybe a frantic message. Where are you? Maybe just a simple, come back. Instead, silence. It was eerie. We used to text each other nonstop. Memes, grocery lists, I love yous in the middle of bad work days. Now, it had been days since she said anything to me that wasn't logistical. And I kept thinking about the way they laughed after she said it. Her mom, her sister, even her old friends. Not one of them blinked. Not one of them said, "Hey, that was harsh." I was standing right there, and they all just kept eating. That did something to me. I pulled into a gas station. Didn't need gas. I just needed to stop. Bought a water bottle I didn't finish. Stared at the empty horizon like it held answers. I must have sat there for 30 minutes before I checked my phone again. Still no messages. But now my email pinged. She'd opened the deed. I pictured her standing there in the backyard, maybe still holding that cup of sangria, flipping through the papers, reading the line where I'd signed everything over. I pictured her face crumpling. And that's when the first message came. Just one word. Why? No punctuation. No context. Just that. I didn't respond. 5 minutes later, another. Can we talk? Then 10 minutes of silence. Then, please. I closed the app and started driving again. Not out of spite. Not out of power. I just didn't know what I could say that wouldn't make things worse. By the time I made it back to the house, our house, technically hers now, the sun had dipped behind the trees. The backyard was empty. The laughter was gone. Chairs stacked. Tables half cleaned. A single paper plate flapping in the breeze like some forgotten flag of war. She was sitting on the porch steps. No shoes. Hair undone. Her phone clutched in both hands like it weighed 100 pounds. She looked up when I parked in the driveway. And I saw it. Red eyes. Puffy cheeks. The tear tracks dried down the sides of her face. She'd been crying. Not just crying. Broken. She stood as I stepped out of the car, slow and unsure, like she didn't know if she had the right. "I didn't mean it," she said. Voice thin. Barely audible. I nodded. Not cold, just honest. "You did." She opened her mouth. Closed it. Opened it again. I was trying to make them laugh. "You did," I said. And then, her whole body crumpled. She sat back down hard, shoulders hunched, hands to her face like the tears just couldn't stop. "I didn't know you heard me," she whispered. I didn't know what to say to that. I mean, what do you say when someone you love admits they didn't care enough to check if you were close enough to be hurt? "I heard you," I said. "And maybe that's the only reason you're crying." Her face snapped up at that. "That's not fair." "No," I said. "It's not." But neither was that joke. A beat passed. The wind rustled the trees behind us. She wrapped her arms around her knees, smaller than I remembered. "I didn't mean the words," she said. And this time I could see she was digging for something, anything, to make it better. I was frustrated. I was tired. My mom was being her usual self. My sister was. "It wasn't about them," I interrupted gently. "It was about me. And you. And the fact that you could stand in front of all of them, with your husband 5 feet away, and make a joke about regretting me. That's not tired. That's done." She didn't argue. Didn't try to backtrack. Didn't rush to say I love you. She just looked at the ground. We sat there for a long time. No yelling. No accusations. Just two people surrounded by the echo of what used to be home. "I never wanted it to get like this," she finally whispered. I believed her. But wanting and choosing aren't the same thing. "You never said it out loud," I told her. But I felt it. The distance. The dismissiveness. I just didn't want to believe it. "I got lost in the noise," she said. "The expectations, my family, work. I thought if I kept moving, I wouldn't have to deal with the way we drifted. And now," she looked up, straight at me. "I want to fix it. But the thing is, some breaks don't mend clean. Some fractures keep hurting long after the bone is set. And some wounds aren't meant to heal. They're meant to teach." She cried until the porch light came on. Not the loud, theatrical kind. Not the kind people cry when they want forgiveness. These were quiet tears. The kind that leak out when the dam's been cracked for months and no one noticed. Or maybe no one cared to. I sat beside her, not touching, not consoling, just present. It felt strange. The house we bought together loomed behind us, lit warm like a painting, but suddenly it felt like a stranger's home. Like a model house in a showroom window. Pretty on the outside, hollow in the middle. She looked over at me through damp lashes. You just gave it to me. The house. I didn't want to argue, I said. You should have. And that made me look at her. Because I knew what she meant. She wanted a fight. She wanted yelling, drama, something messy that could justify her pain. Instead, I gave her silence. I gave her the envelope. And I left. And maybe, in some strange way, that's what broke her. You could have just said something, she whispered. I did, I said. Just not with words. She wiped her face with the sleeve of her hoodie. The same hoodie I bought her on our 3rd anniversary trip to Maine. The one she said smelled like the ocean. She still wore it when she was sick. Or sad. Or lost. You blindsided me, she said softly. I almost laughed. Not out of cruelty. Out of disbelief. I blindsided you. She nodded, ashamed. I know. I know how it sounds. I didn't think you'd walk away like that. Not without a fight. You didn't think I'd leave? No, she said. I thought you'd stay. Like always. And there it was. She thought I was immovable. Predictable. The safe, quiet rock that would never leave no matter how much I was chipped away at. She didn't realize I'd been eroding for years, cut by small jokes, ignored needs, and 1,000 "I'm fine"s that really weren't. I stood slowly. The porch creaked beneath my feet. She looked up at me, afraid I'd say something final. Maybe part of me wanted to. But the truth is, I didn't hate her. I just couldn't stay with someone who found it easier to perform love than to live it. Inside, the remnants of the barbecue still lingered. Paper plates in the trash, smudges of sauce on the countertop. But it was the living room that stopped me. They were all still in there. Her family, her sister, her mother, still eating, still laughing, still sipping wine like nothing had happened. Like I hadn't left the deed to my marriage on the table and walked out. Her sister looked up and saw me through the glass. Her eyes flicked down, then away. Her mother said something and chuckled. And I realized in that moment, they knew what was in that envelope. They saw it. They read it. And they just kept eating. No one ran to check on her. No one followed me to the car. No one tried to stop anything. Because to them, I was never more than a fixture. A utility. A name on a mortgage that helped their daughter play house. She joined me at the door, quietly. Her eyes followed mine, and I knew she saw it, too. That coldness. That indifference. She stood a little straighter. Do you want to come in? She asked. I shook my head. I think I've done enough. She bit her lip, like she wanted to say something else. But whatever it was, it died in her throat. I turned to leave. But just before I stepped off the porch, I said one last thing. Not out of anger. Not even sadness. Just truth. I didn't walk away because you said it. I walked away because you meant it. She didn't argue. Didn't cry again. She just watched me go. That night, I drove to a hotel 2 towns over. Slept like I hadn't in months. Woke up to the kind of silence that wasn't empty, but clean. I don't know where she is now. I don't know if she kept the house or sold it. I don't even know if she ever told them how it all came apart. But I do know this. Some people will sit at your table, eat your food, drink your wine, laugh at your expense, and never even notice when you're gone. They'll just keep eating. But eventually, one by one, they'll look up and realize something's missing. And maybe, just maybe, by then, you'll be somewhere new. Not waiting. Not bitter. Just free.